This video is sponsored by Normandy 1998, Christopher Mitchell, 212th Trooper, Sylar 1610, Carmen CJ, Rune Scribble, Legendary Ray Ray, Ash, and Kitsu the Kitsune. What if Misty stayed with Ash rather than departing at the end of Johto? That is something I've often wondered, since while May is my favourite of Ash's companions, and I believe she injected something new into the series that helped ensure its longevity, the fact that it came at the cost of the original trio was a bitter pill to swallow as a child. But since I struggle to swallow pills, what if that never happened, and instead we got a 5-man band heading into Hoenn, featuring Ash, Brock, Misty, May, and Max. At first, the AG arc wouldn't change all that much, as Ash would still head to Hoenn with just Pikachu and encounter May, with the pair agreeing to travel together, and later arriving in Petalburg, where Ash would have his match with Norman and lose, and then acquire Max. However, it will be during the next episode, You Never Can Talo, where things would change, as following a run-in with the Talo flock, Ash, May, and Max would be saved not just by Brock, but by Brock and Misty, who had reunited after completing their business back home and decided to follow Ash to Hoenn. Like Ash, they'd also decided to more or less start again, with Brock having just Fortress, and Misty having Corsola as her sole battler, though Togepi would also be present, since it's still a baby and needs her attention. However, this wouldn't stay that way for long, as just a few episodes later, Misty would make her first Hoenn catch, with that being Brock's canonical Lotad. This would be a fun addition to Misty's party, showcasing both a new water-type combo, as well as one of Hoenn's many water types, while its playful and carefree personality would follow in the footsteps of Politoed and Psyduck. In fact, with Psyduck having been left back at Cerulean Gym, Lotad and later Lombre and Ludicolo would be the primary goofball of the AG seasons, giving it greater prominence than it had under Brock, as well its cluelessness would exasperate Misty. She'd still use it frequently and cheer on its growth. Though, returning to the early episodes, while Misty's presence wouldn't affect the overarching events much at first, what would change is the team dynamic, since while she has established friendships with Ash and Brock, the Petalburg siblings are a different matter. Like we see during their time traveling through Mount Moon in canon, Misty and Max would hit it off right away, bonding over being sensible younger siblings who are often outshone by their big sisters, with Max quickly coming to look up to Misty and talk to her about Pokemon, and particularly water Pokemon, as they are her field of expertise, especially since this is something May never expressed much interest in. In turn, Misty would also get to experience a big sisterly role for the first time in her life, and while this would be an adjustment, she'd be able to adapt well and likely come to quite enjoy it. In contrast, the initial Misty-May dynamic would be far more contentious, as Misty would find the other girls' whininess, lack of care about Pokemon, frequent harsh treatment of Max, and greater interest in travel and shopping to be highly reminiscent of her sisters in all the worst ways, while in turn, May would find Misty to be pushy and mean, while also feeling like she's trying to take her place as Max's big sister, resulting in frequent friction akin to early Ash and Misty. Even May's discovery of contests and her desire to become a coordinator would play into this discontent. As to Misty, this would look the same as when her sisters gave up on doing gym battles in favour of a more vacuous and cushy path, likely resulting in some snide comments about contests. Thankfully though, this would be short-lived, as through watching May put her whole heart and soul into her preparation for the Slateport contest, Misty would come to recognise this truly is May's passion, and not just another flight of fancy, with this allowing the Cantonian girl to begin developing some respect for May, and even working with her during her Juford training, while Brock works with Ash in preparation for his rematch with Brawly. Through this, a genuine friendship could begin to blossom, as May and Misty would work together, due to having similar drives when it comes to their passion, with some of Misty's grit rubbing off on May, which would come in handy following her contest debut, as even with Misty's help, May would more than likely lose to Drew, though she would do so with greater dignity, while in turn Misty would be the first to provide support and useful critique as she did during Ash's rookie losses, though probably with more tact as she's also grown a lot from those days. Additionally, through watching the Slateport contest, Misty would accept them as real battling and a true test of skill on par with gyms, and not just a flashy waste of time, further cementing her own character development and bond with May, as while she wouldn't enter into contests herself, she would serve as a training partner and coach for the other girl, even putting what she learned from her sisters to use as a way to help May devise strategies and routines. Subsequently, she would become May's primary mentor, though this is not to say Ash would be edged out, as he too would guide her as he did in canon, with this joint mentorship having an interesting effect on his and Misty's relationship, since it would provide irrefutable proof of how much he's grown from the novice who fried her bike. When coupled with his gym successes and increased use of strategy and actual training that began during the AG seasons, Misty would acknowledge Ash's growing ability, finally relinquishing the last bit of the coach role she and Brock had held for him as recently as the Silver Conference. Though this is not to say the pair would stop butting heads, just that it might not be as frequent. Though Ash and May would not be the only characters whose relationship with Misty would be in a state of change. Mirage, as around this time the Princess and the Togepi and a Togepi Mirage would unfortunately still happen, resulting in Togepi evolving and then departing, much to the sadness of everyone, though at least Misty would have her friends to help her through this loss, with Ash in particular knowing the pain of saying goodbye to a treasured Pokemon partner, and so being there for Misty as she has been there for him in the past. From here, Misty would return to something of a supporting role at least for a little while, as the group head to May's next contest in Fall Arbor Town, which thankfully she's able to win, though the redhead would not be out of the spotlight for long, as in the episode Fight for the Meteorite, the Team Aqua and Team Magma plot would begin in earnest, with their goals to expand the sea and land with Kyogre and Groudon being revealed. As a water specialist, Misty would take personal umbrage with both teams, as while she likes the idea of more habitats for water types, the way Team Aqua are doing it by forcing Kyogre from its slumber to do their bidding is just evil. Likewise, Team Magma's plan to dry up the ocean would do untold damage to the majestic water types of Hoenn, so they must be stopped. As a result, preventing their evil schemes would become a minor arc for Misty, as while all her friends would be invested in preventing the calamity either team's plan would cause, for her it's personal. Another personal connection Misty would soon make is with Flannery, as seeing the young gym leader in over her head and knowing firsthand the pressure of gym leader relatives, Misty would help her fellow fiery redhead, with the pair getting on and even leaving Flannery in a good enough position that Mr. Moore feels confident enough to leave his granddaughter to her own devices, though not before pulling Misty aside to give his private thanks. From here, things will return to another stretch of canon, with Lotad evolving into Lombre, and the group travelling back south for May's next contest in Ash's gym battle with Norman. This would be Brock and Misty's first time meeting him and Carolyn, with the pair expressing gratitude for all the kids have done for May and Max, and joy at the strong friendship they all have. This strong friendship would come in handy following Norman's loss, as like in canon, Max would storm off, though it would be Misty who'd talk him down, likely sharing a story about the first time she saw her sisters lose, though when the boy returns Ash's balance badge, it is with a bit more insight and knowledge that he is a friend who truly understands his feelings. Following this, Misty's next spotlight episode would be at the Weather Institute, where she would be a key player in trying to fight off Team Aqua as they try to steal the data on Kyogre. Not just that, but due to knowing Brock so well, she'd recognize his complete lack of attraction to Millie and be able to deduce that she is an imposter, resulting in Brody being revealed much sooner and failing to steal the data for Team Magma. Likewise, Ash will be able to defeat Shelly, meaning Team Aqua leaves empty-handed too, and the plot to awaken the super ancient Pokemon is set back significantly. So much so, in fact, that when our heroes begin their island-hopping adventure following a mostly canonical time in Fortree and Lily Cove, the two evil teams are unable to enact their schemes, with the only blue orb to appear being the one held by the Blue Pearl Clampearl, who Misty befriends and captures during the adventure with the recurring Spoink. This would in turn lead to her being pivotal when they reach the ABC Islands, with the B and C Islanders trying to convince her to evolve her Clampearl into either a Gorobus or Huntail, though as an experienced water trainer, she will be able to end the fighting and bring them together, while also making it clear that her Clampearl can choose whatever it wants to be, which for now is to remain in its first stage, though several grateful trainers would offer to help trade and evolve it, while gifting her a Deep Sea Tooth and Deep Sea Scale for whenever it does choose to evolve. And speaking of evolution, it is around this time that Lombre evolves into Ludicolo like in canon, and Ash's penultimate gym battle in Moss Deep City. Following this, the redhead would discover her favourite place in all of Hoenn, Sutopolis City, where she along with all her friends would witness the majesty of Juan and his water types, both via the show they put on and then Ash's subsequent battle against the man. Throughout this, Misty would be inspired by Juan's strength and style, as he has truly found a way to bring out the full potential of his water types, so when the battle ends, she implores him to take a look at her Pokemon and give her some advice. Always happy to see an aspiring water trainer, the gym leader does so happily, calling Corsola, Ludicolo and Clampearl a well-raised and happy trio which speaks well of her, since more than any other kind of Pokemon, water types reflect their trainer, so in order to help them reach their full potential, she must always be striving to do the same. That was the lesson he passed on to his apprentice Wallace, and now he is both a contest master and a champion. Failing to reach similar heights as the world's greatest water Pokemon master, Misty would redouble her commitment to her dream, which for starters would mean training with Ash and May in the lead up to the Grand Festival and Evergrande Conference, both of which she would bear witness to and cheer her friends on as they compete. Unfortunately, her presence would probably not be enough to change either of their placements, though perhaps things might be a little closer, as the two competitors would have a bit more of Misty's fluid and aggressive battle style woven into their strategies. Then, when the two regional championships are done and the group have all said their goodbyes, she would return to Kanto, only to soon find herself arriving at Oak's lab around the same time as Ash, Brock and the Petalburg siblings. things, resulting in them reforming their team as they now begin Ash's Battle Frontier journey and May's second contest circuit. As the first battle facility is near Cerulean City, Misty will request they stop off at the gym first, whereupon she'd follow in Ash's footsteps with Phanpy and bring Psyduck, Goldeen, and Starmie back to her team, while Corsola would take a break alongside Politoed, Staryu, and Horsey. This squad would then become her main team for the rest of the arc, with Psyduck and Ludicolo, who were quick to strike up a friendship due to their goofy natures, working to help a rich girl bond with her own stressed out Psyduck, and Goldeen evolving into Seeking to help drive away a slimy businessman in his Crawdont, while poisoning a beautiful lake for profit. Meanwhile, a bit later down the line when the group returned to the Pewter Gym in time to stop Team Rocket's assault, it is Misty and her Starmie who battle alongside Brock and Steelix in place of Ash and Donphan, as this is a matter of gym leader pride. Though they would not be Misty's only team members, as during her travels, she would also acquire a Feebas, possibly as an egg from the daycare couple who gave May or Eevee, or perhaps during the long stretch of islands they would visit in the middle of the arc. Either way, this Pokemon would serve as something of a metaphor for herself as the ugly duckling of the family, though by remembering Juan's advice and continuing to strive to be the very best like no one ever was, she would help Feebas evolve into a powerful and beautiful Milotic, just like the one of Sootopoly inspiration used in his gym battle. Like in Hoenn, this team would be also used to help May and Ash train for their respective frontier and contest battles, allowing the pair to grow stronger, while also deepening their bond. This would likely culminate in two big moments for Misty near the end of the season, one with each of them. For Ash, he would be following his second loss to Brandon, as when the Pyramid King tells him to get back to basics, he does so with his original Kanto starters, though they aren't the only friends he brings with him into the woods, as having travelled with Misty since day one as well, he would ask her to accompany him, with the pair working alongside the Kanto starters to help re-center Ash in preparation for his final Frontier match, which he would then go on to win thanks to their help and support. As for May, their big moment would come in the Terracotta contest, as after not entering any of the contests and even initially scorning them, Misty would agree to enter this unofficial one before the brunette and her brother leave for Johto. This would culminate in Misty taking Ash's place in the finals to battle May and her newly evolved Blaziken with her own starter, who I've always assumed is Starmie, but who could be Seeking or a temporarily returned Staryu. Like canon, I believe this match would end in a tie, showing May has truly risen to stand as an equal to Misty, while Misty in turn has grown to respect May and what she does despite her initially narrow view of contests. Consequently, both characters would part ways with a satisfying culmination to their arc, and a promise to meet again and have a rematch someday. And that about brings us to the end of this version of the Advanced Generation era in which Misty never said goodbye at the end of Johto. If you would like to see a continuation where she sticks around for Sinnoh 2, or else want to see a story in which one of Ash's other companions stay beyond their tenure, let me know in the comments below. And while you're down there, don't forget to like the video since it tells YouTube you like what I do, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on an upload. But with that said, I will see you as the journey continues.